You finally got there. Now you're like, okay, you want to maximize every moment of every day. So what's your next step? You get on the cruise ship, you walk on, they check your ID card, they take a picture of you so that they can keep monitoring you when you get on and off the ship to make sure that you're the right person getting on and off. And now you walk on the ship and boom, what do you do?
I know. You're just like, which way do I go? What do I do? Well, typically is what most cruisers do is if a lot of them will go check and see where their room is first. So if you're on board too early, you may not be able to access your cabin, so you'll have to carry your carry-on luggage around with you a little longer. But if you end up getting on the ship a little later, then you may have access to your...
Well, hold on. You mentioned something there. Your carry-on luggage. So, all right. So real quick. So it's the day of the cruise. There are one or two steps, and hold on, I almost jumped ahead there. I do have a little chart I'm going off of. I don't want to get too far ahead. You've made it. It's the day of the cruise, and now you get down. You get to the port at your proper check-in time. Luggage. What do you do with your luggage when you get to the port?
Oh, yes.
I don't want to miss that topic because some people are like, okay, well, how does it get on the ship? Do you carry everything on, or what's the deal? So what's the deal with the luggage?
Okay, well, when you get to the port, there will be porters that take your luggage. Now, you don't want to give them your carry-on luggage. You want to just give them the luggage you want to check with them and have them bring to your room, which is the large pieces. So you will give those to them. Sometimes it's nice to give them a couple dollars for a tip,
I
for
definitely give them a tip. Yeah.
And then you take your carry-on luggage with you inside the cruise terminal to check in, and you keep that with you at all times throughout getting on the ship. One thing about your carry-on, I will suggest anything you are going to need right away, or even through the first night that you know you're going to need, I would suggest you put it in your carry-on just in case there's a problem with getting your luggage to your cabin in a timely manner, so to speak.
Yes.
Anyways, so any medication, especially prescription medication, I highly recommend you put that in your carry-on.
Oh yeah. All your ID and everything that goes without saying.
Your ID, all that. Yes, keep it
all
with
your paperwork.
Another thing is if you're bringing bottles of wine or champagne off, if your cruise line allows that, that has to go in your carry-on. If you're bringing any kind of soda or anything like that on, if your cruise line allows that, snacks, things like that, put those all in your carry-on.
Yes.
And
there you have it.
Yeah.
So remember
now,
important. Keep in mind when you get to the port, you're getting, starting at 7 a.m., thousands of people start getting off the ship. And if you're getting there early, 10, 10:30, 11:30 or something like that, there's still people who were just getting off the ship. Right. There's still people there waiting for their ride, for their taxi, waiting for someone to pick them up. They've gotten all the luggage off of the ship, and you will find the porters that are there, and they'll identify themselves. They're working. They're part of the port crew, and you can, with confidence, you can give them your luggage. Your luggage will have your luggage tags. You've already printed those off with your online check-in stuff. Your luggage tag will usually have some color identification or number identification as far as what deck you're on. Right. You'll write down your name, your cabin number on it, so they'll know where to deliver that luggage to.
And another little tip, just which we didn't mention before, if you're flying, do not put those luggage tags on for the cruise line before your flight. You put them on after you arrive at your city, your destination, where you're cruising from.
Yeah, put them on
because
just
they
before,
won't get lost.
The night before, if you're in a hotel, or the morning of.
Tape them on or staple them on. They also sell these really cool little plastic things, really cheap. They end up being like $1 a piece or something, that you can hook it, slide them in and hook on your luggage
tag sleeves.
You can find those on Amazon and just anywhere, and those are really a great thing to have.
So you got there, you drop off your luggage, you throw somebody a couple bucks to make sure your luggage, to say, hey, take care of everything here. You got your carry-on and all your important things are with you. You enter the port area. You wait a little bit. They finally, you'll go and you will check in one more time once you enter the port area, just to say, I'm here. They'll confirm some info. They'll look at your identification to make sure that you are who you say you are. You can confirm any onboard account information at that time if you want to and stuff like that. And then you'll go park it and you'll wait till they call your group, whatever group you're in, sometimes by letter, by number, and they'll say, okay, come on, and then they'll walk you onto the ship. So we started talking about getting on the ship, but I wanted to back up and just mention that luggage info so you know what you're going to do with all that stuff.
Yeah,
so that's a crucial part of that. So then it's embarkation day. They call it embarkation, and you embark the ship. And then you get on the ship and you walk on, you're like, okay, what's going on, when you get on the ship?
Yeah, so typically, like I said, if you can't get to your room, or even if you can, drop your luggage off, your carry-on luggage, and then most people tend to head to the buffet area. It's usually on they call it the Lido deck on most of the cruise lines. But most people want to eat. That's the first thing they want to do.
Yeah, you go for the food.
Eat.
You want to see what's going on, what's cooking up on deck.
It will be usually pretty packed in the buffet area the first day because that's where everyone is headed. There are some other little areas you can sometimes eat at the first day, burger places and things like that. People choose to eat at, but for the most part, that's going to be where it's just really busy all afternoon.
Yeah, people are starving. They've been waiting all morning. They might have skipped their breakfast, and Sharon touched base on it. So when you get on the ship, your room's probably not ready yet. You got to remember that, thousands of people are getting off the ship, and people may have just gotten off the ship an hour ago, and you got cabin stewards that are cleaning, 5, 6, 8, 10 cabins. Right. So when you get on, they're scrambling to get these rooms ready for another, full load of passengers. There could be signs that'll say, hey, your cabin's not ready till 1:30 or 2 o'clock, even though you're getting on the ship at 11:30 or 12. So that's where you're going to, hopefully you have minimal carry-on. That's why you don't want to carry tons of stuff on the ship with you. And then you go and you find a place to hang out, eat, drink, be merry, tour the ship, check things out, all that kind of stuff.
Then a lot of times people will maybe, check out the ship, take a little tour of the ship, see what's around, look, check out the theater, check out where all the casino is, the shops. They're not going to be open, the shops, but you can just kind of check out where things are.
Yeah.
Let's see, another thing.
One thing that will be open is the bar.
Yeah,
the bars will be open as soon as you get on the ship, and you'll be able to start spending money. Now, so we mentioned the ship card, your shipboard account, things like that. We'll give you an example of like Carnival Cruise Line. They issue you a card. It looks like a credit card. It's got your name, your some of your information on it. Nothing personal info wise. It might show your dining table, your dining room information. And that card will also get you in and out of your cabin. Just like in a hotel, it's a card that you access your cabin with, and that's what they charge everything on.
Yes,
your
but
pictures.
Your cabin number is not on that card.
Yes.
So if you lost your card and someone found it, they would not know that.
They won't know where you are. But your photo is also attached to that, so you don't have to worry about dropping your card and having someone else spend it. Every time they run your card for something, it brings up a picture of you to make sure that the right person with the card is the one ordering, spending money. So it's a pretty secure, process. So you don't have to worry about that. Now, sometimes you might get this card or whatever thing they use when you do your check-in. Sometimes you might get it once you get on the ship. Different cruise ships, they have some different ways that you do it. But just know there will be a way for you to start spending money with whatever's open as soon as you get on that ship.
If you don't have your card yet, if it's a cruise line that puts it in your mailbox or something like that, you get it later, then your boarding pass has a barcode on it, and that's what they will scan to bill you if you purchase a drink or anything prior to getting your cards. Another thing that people tend to do is check out where they're sitting in their dining. If they have an assigned dining time, they will maybe go to the dining room and check and see where their table is and see if they like it. If they don't like it, they can maybe opt to change it. They're usually on most cruise lines in the afternoon, usually around 1-ish or so. One of the dining rooms has the maitre d' standing there, and you can kind of line up.
On that first day, that embarkation day.
And go talk to him and put your name in for a request for a change on your table or your dining time, or if you want to change. Maybe you had a set dining and you had wanted to be like the your time or any time dining. You can, ask for, if you hadn't got your request granted yet, you can go and ask
any adjustment you want to make. Let's say you just meet some cool people while you're waiting to get on the ship, and you guys decide that y'all want to eat together and be friends. You can go in and request a table and try to change. Sometimes they can do it, sometimes they can't, but you can do that. So you're on the ship, so you're touring the ship. You might check out, there'll be a guest services area, and usually it's pretty busy. And the reality is, we find on the first day they're understaffed, and they have a lot of customers.
It's usually busy.
So if you can avoid getting in line on the first day, that's always going to be a good thing.
If you do see a short line and you need to put some money on your ship card account or anything, I suggest if you see the line short, get in it and do it then, because it's going to usually get pretty long throughout the evening. That first day and evening, the line tends to be.
There will also be like an excursion desk, so you can go there and look and get information, and you can get pamphlets and flyers that talk about all the excursions and things like that. Like we said, you can check out your dining, and then finally.
Well, you know what? And if you don't want to do any of that stuff, you can just throw your swimsuit on. Go get in that pool and
find a hot tub or whatever and just chill out and have a few drinks.
Be on vacation and do nothing.
Yes.
So that's another option.
Heck yeah. So so you're on there. So you've let's say you finally get access to your room, your cabin, as it'll be referred to. So you've gone in there. You may or may not meet your room steward right out of the gate. They may come introduce themselves, talk about things you might need for the week or whatever. If you have special requests, you can make those, whether it's ice every day, whether they turn down your cabin once in the morning, once at night, or both, or whatever types of stuff. And you go and drop all your stuff in the cabin, and then you're off to the races. There'll probably be a newsletter, some paperwork in there saying, hey, it's the first day, here's what's going on the ship.
Like an activity schedule, which you'll normally get one every evening for the following day. As we'll
your newsletter will come out.
But there should be one for the first day, and it'll tell you what the shows are, what's going on that first night around the ship.
Yes. So you're there, you're having fun, everything's all great, but there's one more thing that you have to do that kind of stinks. Before you set sail and you leave the port.
You're in the middle of all the fun.
They're going to have the safety meeting. The safety drill.
The muster drill, as some people know it as.
Yes, it's known as the muster drill. They will make an announcement that everyone has to report to their muster stations. Mm-hmm. Everyone has it. You'll be told where it is. It's in your room. It's actually on I think it's on your account card usually.
And you'll be made aware. The ship and the cruise line. Some will have you go actually to your muster station. Some will have you just line up along the decks outside, and they will have the little safety briefing there.
Well, that's because if you're outside, that's because your muster station. Your muster station could be inside, outside. What it is it's the designated area that you go to if there is an emergency on the ship.
But some of the newer ships you get lucky and you get to sit inside, like in the theater and things.
Oh,
which is
yes.
kind of nice.
We've been in the theater. One time our muster station was a casino.
Yeah, that was.
So we sat in there. So that was kind of funny. We were with our son and we were sitting at a roulette table. Mm-hmm. So I was teaching him how to play roulette while we were having the drill. So
anyway, so that's how that works. And then that way if there ever is an emergency, everyone's there and they will instruct people how to get to the lifeboats and everything. Now, there was a day when you used to have to bring your life vests with you to the safety briefings. Mm-hmm. They do have the life vests in your cabins for each person in your cabin. There is one in there. But at this time, I don't know of any cruise lines that still make you bring them to the safety briefing. But, if there is and you know of one, just put it in the comments below and let us know. But another thing is I did hear recently that some of the cruise lines were going to stop providing the life vests in the cabins at all, and they were going to just give them out at the muster stations when people arrive if there ever was an emergency.
Well, so there's a little more room.
That's something that a couple cruise lines are kind of going to.
So every ship will be a little different, but one thing you can count on, it's going to take 30 to 40 minutes. It's going to stink. Yeah, there's going to be people that are drunk, being loud and obnoxious, and there will be people who delay it because they try to hide out in their cabin and miss it and not go. But
all it does is delay it for everyone else.
It is mandatory. You cannot hide. You cannot run. You can't hide under the bed or on your balcony. They will find you, and they will start announcing names and cabin numbers if. At the end of it. So
there was a time when they didn't really have any way to account for everyone. So once they thought everyone was there, they just would start it. Now most of the cruise lines, they will scan your card as you're walking into your muster station. And so that's what Jamie was saying. They have accountability and they know it'll come up and tell them who is not there yet, who is not checked in with their card yet.
Yes. And if you have checked in and gotten on the ship and you are not at the muster station, they will find you.
Yeah.
So don't be that person. All right. So the muster drill finally ends, and usually that coincides with being shortly before the sail away.
And then it is time for the sail away party.
Yes.
Most people like to kind of, especially first time cruisers, that like to kind of go to, it really gets you pumped up. There's music playing, people are dancing out on the Lido deck, and it's just a fun time.
And they unhook from the port and the dock, and you start floating away, and that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So you're a new cruiser, you've waited all this time, you've gotten on the ship, you're eating, you're drinking, muster drill's done. and now you're sailing away, and you're just like, oh my God, it's finally setting in that we're on a cruise ship, we're on a floating hotel, and we're heading out to sea. So boom, there you have it. You've hit your destination. Your goal has been met. You're sailing away. Now the last couple things to worry about is you're getting ready for
dinner. Well, then they're
anything I missed from the sail away, because that's a big deal.
That's about it.
Okay, so we covered that. Then you're getting ready for dinner, and we've talked a little bit about eating. You might have options to go to the dining room. You'll have a set time, early, late, maybe an anytime dining where you can come and go when you want, where you may or may not have delays. You can go to specialty places to eat. Maybe you ate so much at lunch you don't even want to go to dinner the first night. But we enjoy going to dinner because we go to the dining room, and if we have a set dining thing, we meet any table mates. Because if you have a smaller party, you could get put at a table with others to interact with, and that can be horrifying, which is what we thought it'd be, but you can also be great. We've met some of our best friends in the world that we've cruised and vacationed with many times after. We met them when our son was young at a dining table, so you never know how that's going to work out. And if you meet some people that you just can't stand, you can ask to change the table.
That's right.
Not a big deal. Change your time or whatever.
Let's talk about a little bit about what's included as far as food goes. Okay, so a lot of people are like, oh, is everything included? Do you have to pay for your meals? How does that work? Well, on just about every cruise line that I know of, all the main cruise lines, all of your food in the main dining room and all of the food at the buffet is all included. There's other places like some of the burger places, the pizza, and some of those little areas like that on most all cruise lines that is also included.
Yes.
The things that are not included are most of the specialty restaurants is an extra charge if you choose to eat there. Some of the maybe a specialty besides your alcoholic drinks, some of the specialty drinks, like if you go get a specialty coffee, or some of those kind of things, a milkshake.
And soda. You do pay for soda. Soda's not free. Iced tea, certain juices. Right. Like when you go to dinner, they'll give you water. You can ask for iced tea. You can have all that you can stand. But sodas, alcohol, all that you're going to pay for. So
that's
just keep that in mind.
Extra, along with the specialty restaurants. But you know what? You can get on and drink some lemonade, iced tea, waters, things like that. Eat at the buffet. In the main dining room, and also milk is included too for any of you that have kids or adults that like milk. That's all included as well. But you can eat there for free, no extra charges.
Yes, it's all included in what you're doing.
Room service, another thing. Room service. That I'm not going to go into too much because it is so all over the place right now with all the cruise lines. They're all different. Some still offer everything free, but they charge you like a fee for delivering it. Others are charging for food now at room service, and some just charge for food after a certain hour. It might be free during the day, and then they charge for it at night after 10
p.m. You just got to look into it when you get on or before you get on that ship, and you can find information on your cruise line.
A time where it was all included, but now each cruise line has their own kind of way of doing it.
Cool. All right, so keep one thing in mind. As you're going through these restaurants, as you're going to the buffet at dinner time or at any time through the cruise, there's 2,500 to 4,000 people on that ship. And if everyone's trying to do something similar at the same time, there's bound to be lines. So we've had times where you go on a little bit of an off time, you go hit the buffet a little early, a little later, you get right in. You can walk up, get a plate, and start throwing salad on your plate. Other times you walk up, and there could be 40 to 50 people in line ahead of you. It'll go quickly. You'll be through there in 10 minutes tops.
Especially on a port day. If you go a little late when you're getting close to getting off a port and stuff like that, it's going to be packed. It's best to go a little early. Or maybe even get up early and go to the main dining room for breakfast on a port day too.
Yes. Yeah, there will be other options about where you can eat on port days and things. So make sure that you check your newsletter or your activity list, and it'll tell you. It'll literally say your dining options on this day for breakfast are this, and this. Yes. It's open from here till there and stuff like that, and they'll really break it down for you, so you can take advantage of it. All the hours will be on the
activity schedule of when all the different restaurants are open.
Speaking of the activity schedule, so now you're thinking about what am I doing the rest of the week? You've made arrangements for port days. You get into port, you get off the ship, you do your thing, you get back on, you get back to eating, drinking, napping, laying in the sun, or whatever you want to do. But you're like, what kind of entertainment is there on the ship? Well, there was going to be a ton of entertainment.
There is going to be a lot. I mean, anything from, there's usually a show pretty much every night. There are, like kind of like Vegas type shows. Some of the cruise lines have like, what do they call them? The water shows,
aquatic.
It's
a big
type
word.
Shows with lighting and everything. Like Royal Caribbean is really big on that on some of their newer ships. And there's comedy clubs. There is, trivia games. There's, of course, the casino. There's
also like some educational stuff and education, like learning about things with the cruise. You can go on. There's talks about shop. There's a shopping expert on the ship that'll talk to you about where to shop and where to spend your money when you're in port and things like that. They will talk about a welcome aboard show that says, okay, here's what's going on. So in addition to researching and watching a video like this talking about what to do, you can literally go and there'll be a room full of people where someone from the cruise line's talking and telling you about how things will work on the cruise and kind of answering the frequently asked questions that people have about that kind of stuff.
There'll be like some theme parties at night. Some of the ships that have the movie screen outdoors off the Lido deck, they'll have like movie nights. They'll play movies at night where you can lay out and watch movies.
So bring a highlighter.
Under the stars there. Some places I think call it movie under the stars. Some are dive-in movies. It depends on the cruise line, but that's really neat to do.
Yep.
Some will even include popcorn, for those. There's like art auctions on board. There's casino bingo.
Oh,
there's,
well, what do you want to bring a highlighter if you can?
All kinds of things.
And at night you'll sit there with your family, your spouse, or by yourself, or however you're traveling, and you'll go through, you'll page through that newsletter and say, okay, I want to do this. They're having a cornhole at the bar at 2. I want to be there. I want to see the comedy. There's 80s music trivia in the lounge. So you really got to try to set your schedule so that you get to certain places. And remember, if you're going somewhere for an event or a show, a lot of other people are too. Get there early. The things that are more popular, there can be lines, and you can wait in line and try to get a table.
Some of the newer shows in the theaters have a line, and also the comedy clubs have a line. And on some cruise lines, you have to pre-book your shows in the theater. And if you don't pre-book them, you may not even get to see them. So keep that in mind too.
Yes.
Some of the cruise lines do that. So.
Yeah. All right. So and keep in mind, I don't know, I'll jump around a little here, but cruise lines are a for-profit business. They're there to make money, so they will be selling. They're selling jewelry. They're selling things in their shops and all that kind of stuff. They're giving you sales pitches. They want you to shop at certain places when you get to ports. When you go out for your excursions.
All kinds of flyers delivered to your room at night with your activity schedule of what sales they're having the next day, whether it's a jewelry sale or a t-shirt sale or whatever.
Sure.
And they are trying to sell you things, but you don't have to buy them. Just keep that in mind. You do not have to buy them.
Yeah.
So.
One of the biggest things they'll try to sell you is photographs, pictures, picture packages. Everywhere you turn, before you even get on the ship, they'll be offering to take pictures of you, and all the way through dinner time every night at your dining table.
And I would say
they'll take hundreds of pictures.
Take the pictures because you are not obligated to buy them, but it gives you a lot of choices then of when you do look at them and maybe you want to buy a few, especially if it's your first cruise. Then you can kind of have a lot to choose from.
Yeah, so if there's someone in your family that always has their eyes closed and all the best pictures, so you need 4 or 5 to make sure you get a good one.
So you just pick, you pick the pictures you want to purchase and the others you don't have to purchase. Some will have photo packages you can pre-purchase or just purchase on when you're on the cruise ship. That save you a little money if if you want to buy several pictures. It kind of saves you money to do that. And also some cruise lines or ships, I guess, because the newer ships do it. Some of the older ships don't, but they have like digital prints as well, so you can get like a digital print versus buying the picture and have it printed out when you get home too. That saves a few dollars usually too.
And listen, for some people, these are some of the only great photo memories of vacations that you're going to have, and you can have multiple pictures taken and get some great shots, so you can blow them up, put them on your wall at home, or whatever the case is.
If you want to save some money, bring your own camera, your phone, whatever. Click. Have a someone walking by, ask them to take your picture. You can always offer to take theirs in return.
Yes.
But people are really friendly on cruise ships, and if you have someone to take your picture or something, they're usually glad to do it.
Oh yeah. So the memories are going to be there, and also the spending of the money. So remember, they're trying to make money. Don't get annoyed if they're offering or advertising stuff, because that's what they're there for.
Yeah.
So that's a big deal. Other things you're going to be doing. So
the spa is another thing that can cost you a little money if you want. Yes. Now, just a tip: if you're a person that's going to be wanting to use the spa and kind of pamper yourself a bit, the best time to get the best deals is on port days. I know you're going to want to get off in the port usually, but maybe you can do it for an earlier morning or later when you get back on or something like that if you want to take advantage of that. But you will get some deals and some discounts using the spa on port days.
And speaking of selling, they will sell the bejesus out of you on products and things like that, lotions and hair care, whatever it is that you do there. Keep that in mind.
If you do have a spa treatment, they will try to sell you everything they used on you and more after, and you just have to, certainly if you want to buy it, you can buy it, but it's expensive, and you can just say no. All you have to do is say
no. It's a popular thing. Just say no.
No.
Now, talking about excursions. So that's a lot of stuff you can do when you're on the ship. And then talk about when the day comes when you're gonna get off the ship. So you'll be scheduled to get into ports at certain times. You've made arrangements for excursions and things like that. The day comes when you're arriving in whatever island, St. Thomas or something. So the ship pulls in. It's neat because you can watch you can go on upper deck and watch the ship sail closer to land and come in and dock and tie off, and you can watch the process of how that all works.
That's really fun when it's your first cruise.
And then they'll make the announcement that you can get off the ship. It will be a stampede. There are 2,500 or more people on that ship, and they all want to get off the ship. So you can go early, you can go later. If you have an excursion that has been set up with Carnival, you'll usually meet in a designated area, and they will escort you off according to the time of your excursion. So that's a pretty nice deal. But don't be surprised when you get on, deck 3 in the stairwell, and there's literally a line of hundreds of people trying to get down to deck 0 and exit the ship. And of course, you could be at a place where there's a tender port. A tender port is where the ship cannot go to a dock because it's too shallow, so they have to anchor, hundreds of yards off the coast or whatever, and then everyone gets on little ships that leave the big ship, the cruise ship, and drive into the dock area. And those are called tenders, and so that takes a while too. So keep that in mind. If you have an excursion, follow the rules. There'll usually be instructions for you. And then you get off the ship, and if you don't, you're just kind of getting off and hanging out. Maybe take some time, wait for the crowd to settle down, and then you can get off pretty quickly. So expect a long line when you're getting off the ship, and if you have an early thing planned, follow what the ticket says, or get off early. So and one thing I did want to mention, one of my favorite spots of the ship, we were talking about what to do when you're on there and spending money and all that kind of stuff. The casino. I like the casino. A lot of others do.
Casino's a big money maker.
We talk about charge accounts and things like that. The casino is the one place on the ship where cash is king, and you can bring cash to spend. You can take money out on your charge account, on your sail and sign, or your onboard account.
They will charge you a fee. Depending on the cruise line, the percentage, but they will charge you a fee for doing that. So it's best to bring cash. It saves you a little money if you just bring cash for the casino.
And that way you know what you can lose. So when you lose all the cash that you're allowed to spend, when you lose the cash that your wife tells you can spend,
cut off.
Then you can shut it down right at that point. So one side note there, when you're spending money and all that stuff and being sold on things, the one place that cash works on the ship is a casino. And it's really the only place on the ship, besides throwing a couple bucks to room service, or if you want to tip somebody separate from your onboard account, that's really the only place where you're going to use cash. Even when it comes to other shopping and stuff like that. Touching on the casino, one little topic is, and this is a reality, so smoking. If you're a smoker, the casino is a good place for you to hang out, and there will be a few other spots on the ship designated for smoking, but a majority and the vast part of the ship is non-smoking.
Right. Including your own balconies nowadays.
Yes,
There was a time that a lot of smokers would book a balcony cabin because they were allowed to smoke on their balconies, but not anymore. That's a
yes, for safety, like a cigarette butt gets thrown out and flies back in on somebody else's balcony and starts a fire. And also I think for just, for the folks that don't, because, we have our own opinion about that, and we don't judge on either side of whatever you are, smoker or non-smoker. But the non-smokers can raise a fit when it comes to smelling the smoke and things like that. And that's one of the things to keep in mind. So if you like the casino, there may be a non-smoking section.
Yeah, some ships will have a little bit of a section of the casino now that they don't allow smoking, although, it's all there. So, it's but...
And on some ships, it's a little more prevalent than others. They have systems, air purification systems, air cleaning, air handlers, stuff like that to try to take, minimize the smell. And that just comes with the territory of a casino. I mean, that's the reality of it.
And usually if there's a bar in the casino, like the casino bar, and then a couple other designated areas around the ship are designated for smoking. So those will be the smoking
So that's
areas.
a little side note. So, I mean, the casino, those two things kind of go hand in hand. So there's a little information on there.
Let's talk a little bit about, and then duty-free shopping and alcohol purchases on the ship. These are things that you can purchase through the shops on board. Anything you buy on there is duty-free, so a lot of people will buy things while they're on the ships because you don't have to pay that sales tax, along with people are big for buying cartons of like cigarettes and also alcohol and taking them home with them because they're all duty-free. Now if you do buy alcohol on board, you will pay for it, and then they will save it for you, I guess, so to speak, hold it for you, and the night last night before debarkation, they will return it to you to take home with you.
Yes.
But you're not allowed to drink it, buy it, and then
you can't go down, buy a duty-free bottle and then go back to your room and crack it open.
Drink it all week. No.
And I think the reality is, I mean, listen, the ships have good prices and they'll have sales during the week to kind of drum up a little business. But a lot of times you can buy alcohol cheaper when you're in a port, and you can bring it back on the ship. And I mean, hey, the reality is, if you can find a way to hide it and maybe get through with it, maybe then that's a win for you.
That's the same thing as they will take it.
Yeah, they'll take it, they'll hold it, and they'll return it to you
the last night.
Yeah, the last night, so that you can take it off of the ship. Some people say if you're in a port on the last day and you bring it back on, sometimes they may not take it at that time because it's just a lot of extra steps for a short period of time.
Yeah, and that's another thing. It depends on the cruise line. So a lot of things, the cruise lines differ.
And speaking of, keep that in mind. We talked about getting off the ship, and one quick note: when you get off the ship, you get off pretty quickly. It's rare that they're checking you. They're not looking for much. There's a few restrictions. Probably they don't like you to bring fruits and things into foreign areas, into different countries and stuff like that.
And sometimes if you bring food off from the cruise ship, like you try to bring a sandwich or something that's not prepackaged, if they know, they will take it away. That happens most of the time in Mexico, different Mexican areas. Not as much in the Caribbean, but Mexico, and that includes like Cozumel and some of those places that they will have the dogs out there sniffing. So
they can definitely do that. And then as far as getting back on the ship, Sharon did mention the dogs will be there sniffing, so don't try to bring something on that you can get easily on the streets of a foreign country that you can't get in your neighborhood, if you know what I mean. Behave yourselves, people. And then and also, you will have your bag scanned. You will go through a metal detector when you get back on the ship as well.
Yeah, just like at the airport.
Yeah, and whatever you bring, so if you bring a duffel bag or whatever, you'll send it through and they'll do a scan on it. So don't try to sneak stuff back on that you shouldn't. And they'll look for all kinds of stuff. Rocks. I've seen seashells get brought back on and they won't let them through because of the potential for, germs and bacteria to be
There's certain
brought on the
areas.
ship.
There's a couple places in some of the Caribbean you can bring some seashells back, but there are a couple places that you can't. And Mexico's another place that's really big if you try to bring any little rocks or seashells back or anything, and they see that they will take them away.
Yes.
That's a big
They'll shut you down.
Too.
So that's a little bit about getting back on the ship. They will check you as you get back on the ship.
We know because we had a personal experience with that. Our son tried to bring back a rock one time when he was, maybe 3 or so.
Oh, that broke his heart.
And they took his rock away, and they weren't too friendly about it either when they took it away. Like we were trying to.
Well, you got to remember those guys. They're the security people. They're not customer service oriented.
Our son was devastated, in tears, and that was a total meltdown. So.
So watch out for that.
Anyways.
Watch out for that. All right. So listen. So, I mean, we've covered a ton of stuff. We're getting to the point now where we can kind of wrap it up and say, hey, if you're a new cruiser, after watching the last hour of us rambling on about stuff, that you're really getting a grip on what to expect, how to go about booking your cruise, and all that kind of stuff. So some of the last things I want to revisit real quick, the tipping process. Keep in mind that tipping will be added to your account.
It's called like your gratuities.
Yeah, your gratuities. It'll be added to your account at some point during the cruise automatically if you have not prepaid your tips.
Right. And each cruise line is different. The amounts that you pay so much per person per day. Each cruise line has a different amount per person per day, and sometimes if you're booked in a suite, the amount jumps up even higher.
Yes.
So I'm just going to give you an example. I'm not going to tell you what cruise line or anything, but I'm just going to say, like, okay, say it's maybe $13.95 per person per day. Well, you're going to add that up times 7 days if you're on a 7-day cruise, and that's how much your gratuities is going to be for your personal, 7 days.
Yeah, and that's per person, whether it's a child, whether it's an adult, or anything like that. And they take that amount.
Most kids under 2 on most all cruise lines, though, do not pay gratuities. Of course, they do have to pay for the cruise, unfortunately, but there are no gratuities charged to their account.
So the gratuities are split between all the service personnel on the ship. A percentage goes to a cabin steward, percentage goes to the main dining room folks, a percentage goes to behind the scenes people. You'll hear people say, well, Carnival keeps some per profit. Everyone we've ever talked to, that's not the case.
Yeah.
That money is divided out and given to different associates.
There are some areas that probably don't receive it, like the camp, the kids' camps and things like that. They don't receive any of that gratuities because they're not, everyone doesn't have kids in camp.
Yeah.
But mostly it goes to the dining, like we said, the dining staff, the room stewards and their assistants, and then some gets broken up between like the bar staff and all the other servers and things like that.
Now there's a couple important things. Number
areas.
One, if you felt your service was awesome, you can give extra. You can give extra cash anytime, and the people working will love it. And to my knowledge, if you give someone cash directly, well, they're probably supposed to report it one way or the other and put it into the pool. What they do with it, who knows? But if you give it to them directly, that's money for them, and you can do that. But also, the tipping you get charged the tip or the gratuity automatically, but it is not mandatory that has to stay. You could, let's say you have a bad experience. Hopefully you never do, but if you have a bad experience in one area or another, you could go down to the guest services and say, hey, listen, I had a horrible experience with my cabin steward, and so I want to reduce the amount that goes to that person. I want to change the amount, or whatever the case is. People do that. We don't recommend it. We hope you leave it on for those hardworking folks, but they do that. And one other thing is that some people will remove all the gratuities automatically, just normally, and then they will just tip individuals as they want.
And then there's also those who remove all of them and don't tip, which, like we said, we do not recommend that, because there may be times when your service is a little maybe not up to par in certain areas, but you got to keep in mind, these ships run 7 days a week continuous with like 4,000, sometimes plus more cruisers on it. They work their butts off, trying to keep these people happy. So, with that in mind, there's everything is not going to run smooth all the time.
Yeah.
And so when you get on a cruise ship, you just kind of have to have an open mind,
Sure.
and kind of go with the flow. That's the biggest thing with cruising. You just kind of have to go with the flow, and if things happen, go say something nicely to one of the staff members and see if you can get it fixed. Don't throw a big fit and everything. Those are usually the people that they kind of shut down and don't help as much when someone's throwing a big, I guess, like a temper tantrum or something.
Well, it happens. I see it all the time on the cruises. People get mad.
Just be pleasant, and try to,
well, I mean, hey, listen, that's our personal recommendation, but as far as the tipping goes, it is what it is.
Do that. But you know what? it's your own personal decision, but
yes,
we do not condone it at Sharon at Sea.
Yes, do not remove the tips. Let them have the money. All right, so the end of the week has come. On the final night, they will finalize your bill. You've put money on the account, or you've had gift cards on there, and you'll get refunded whatever you don't use, or your credit card will get billed, or whatever the case is. Now, there are always a few people who overspend, and they don't have the money or the room on the card or whatever, and they will start calling those names either the night before or the morning of. If you start hearing somebody's name getting called, that's probably because their credit card has a limit and they have exceeded it.
You may see them.
Carnival will, if you put your credit card on file, they will put holds on periodically. Though you spend a couple $100, they'll charge it for the couple $100 and try to maintain it. And one little tip is if you can avoid using a debit card and just use a credit card, it will benefit you because a debit card, they put holds on it. And then they release the hold, but sometimes the release takes a few days to happen, so it'll seem like you might be getting double charged, or there's some ghost charges on there and stuff like that. So just keep an eye on that. So you'll finalize your bill on the last day. You're paid in full. You'll get a usually what happens with us is you get a bill under your door or in your room mailbox.
And I'll just kind of give you what you spent for the week, and if you're owed any money back, it'll tell you how much that is. And usually they'll mail you a check in the mail a few days after your cruise ends. With anything that's left.
Yeah, and there you go. And then the last thing to worry about is getting ready for debarkation, packing, preparing, getting loaded up, what to do when the time comes. On our last cruise, was our last one, we actually did a packing video getting off the ship.
It was a debarkation packing video, which kind of opposite from our packing video, so I will link that one below as well.
Yes. You can definitely link that.
Because it does take a little bit of a different strategy packing to leave the ship versus getting on the ship.
Oh yeah, it's a whole different deal. Sharon does an amazing job at it, and I can't thank her enough for taking on that challenge.
Well, you have different things. You'll have your souvenirs and some things like that, maybe something that's breakable, and some different things like that you have to take into consideration.
Well, and I'm usually never allowed near the luggage anyway. But you will have two options. You have the option of putting your luggage out by a certain time the night before, where it will be collected and then brought off of the ship for you and placed in an area where you can pick it up after you exit the ship.
Right.
So large luggage, folks that can't handle it physically, you can't carry it, whatever the case is, that is an option for you. And there you better get packing a little earlier in the day and have that ready and outside of your door to get picked up by your cabin steward. You can also do self-assist, which most places call it, where you can carry all of your luggage off. Now, we've started doing that a little bit because it's that way we have full control over when we get off the ship, and we can get off earlier if we need be.
And especially if you have an early flight, that's a good option to choose as long as you can manage your luggage, because you can get off, as soon as you get into port, you can be one of the first people off the ship.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do end up putting your luggage out for them to pick up, you will get assigned, you will get the paperwork in your room the night before, usually, and it'll have some luggage tags attached to put on your luggage that you're going to be setting out, similar to what you had when you got on the ship. Now, there are some cruise lines, actually, I know Carnival is starting a new thing where they are giving you a place to kind of specific area you have to go pick up your luggage tags. That's part of their new debarkation process. But it'll tell you on the paperwork where to go pick them up at, and you can pick them up, and then if the paperwork, there's really not any paperwork to get off the ship these days. I don't think, most of the cruise lines don't do the customs forms anymore. There may still be some that are kind of a little behind and are still doing them, but most of them don't have you fill out the customs form anymore.
So it can be a pretty easy process.
They just ask you as you're getting off the ship. So, but if they do give you one, then you just fill it out and bring it off the ship with you.
And then when you get off, if you're a family of 4 or 5 and you have 3 toddlers and they can't carry luggage and things like that, then once you get down to where your luggage is, there will be porters and guys there and gals where they will assist you in getting your luggage, putting it on a cart, wheeling it out, getting it out to the curb, getting into your taxi or whatever and going. So that assistance will be there for you in assisting you to get on the ship. And again, it will be chaotic. There will be a line out the yin-yang to get off the ship because, again, thousands of people are getting off within a 2 or 3 hour period, and some people want to wait, and people are cranky and everyone's miserable because it's the last day of your vacation. You have to get off the ship, so it will be chaotic. So just brace yourself for that. Suck it up and hope for the best.
Cabs lined up there to take you to the airport, and different transportation out there. It's usually all lined up, so as you go out, there's usually a line sometimes, but they usually quickly get people in those cabs and get them headed out of there. They're trying to clear out the people as quickly as possible so that the next set of cruisers can kind of start coming in. So
yes.
They try to be as organized as possible, but that's a lot of people.
So they'll usually try to have you out of your cabin by about 8 a.m. You can go at breakfast. The buffet will be open. I don't think the main dining room is necessarily open, but you can go have some food. You can hang out on the Lido deck for an hour.
But you need to
if you have a flight out or whatever.
Luggage with you. If you're gonna kind of hang out a little later, like till maybe 9 or whatever, or you have a later time to get off the ship, then you need to take all your luggage with you. So if you didn't keep it and you're not doing self-assist and you did not put your luggage out the night before, then all of it you're going to have to hold with you. Or
you just got to be cleared out by 8 o'clock. So, everything out of the cabin by about 8 a.m. So the guys can go in and start doing their thing, get ready for the next group of people that are going to be coming on board.
Yeah, but you can hang out, eat breakfast a little bit, go back and have a second breakfast.
You go turn on your phone and get on your Facebook and start posting all your photos. Oh, because remember, your phone, you want to make sure it's in airplane mode the
that is
whole
the biggest
time.
Tip here. Yes.
That is a huge tip. When you get on the ship, you will get yanked for massive data charges if you do not put that phone on airplane mode, and you can sign up for whatever certain types of Wi-Fi and internet packages the ships have at a certain rate.
But before you set sail, before that ship actually sets sail, you need to put it in airplane mode.
Yes. That way you can avoid charges, but make sure look into your wireless provider for information about that kind of stuff.
Right.
All right, so listen, I think that brings us to about the end. You've packed, you've gotten off the ship the next morning, you're out, you're getting back to your hotel, you're doing what you need to do, and you're depressed and you're sad and it stinks because you spent a year getting excited, you went through all this stuff on a week on a cruise or 4 days or whatever. And now the only thing you can do to make yourself feel better
is book another cruise. You
start planning your next cruise, and that's the deal.
Cruise,
So
even
there you
if
have
it's 2 years away or more, you book it, and at least it gives you something to look forward to, and it kind of gets rid of that. There actually is something kind of like a post-cruise depression thing,
Postpartum, post-cruise depression.
So it kind of gets rid of that when you have something to look forward to.
Yes. And some of you may know, you might already know, Sharon can help you out. You can go to Sharonatsea Travel on Facebook, sharonatsea.com, as well as, you already know that we're on YouTube with that channel.
Yeah.
So check that out. And so listen, I guess that brings our video to an end here.
Yes. So
we hope Cruising 101 has been of a benefit to you and you've learned a little bit about it.
So anyone else who has any great comments, cruising comments, advice for new cruisers, please post it in the comments below. That would be very helpful. And if you are a new cruiser and you have any specific questions about cruising, please post those in the comments below. If it's a more personalized question, you can email me your question and I will be happy to answer you.
And whether you just booked a cruise 2 weeks ago and you want to transfer the booking to Sharon so she can help you, walk you through, answer any questions, you can do that. New cruisers, you can book whether you want to cruise in a month or whether you want to cruise in a year and a month or whatever. Give us a holler and we can help you out with that stuff too. And it's just our pleasure. We love cruising. We love talking about it, which is why we can ramble on for an hour and 20 minutes right here and talk all about cruising and what to expect.
So be sure to subscribe to our channel, and if you click the little bell, it'll notify you whenever we post a new video or we go live. We do go live every Monday night.
For the most part.
Yeah, pretty much. And about all different topics each week. We do giveaways, and we do some trivia with giveaways and all kinds of fun things every Monday night. So there you go.
There you go. And one important thing that we're going to leave you with is
Cruising 101. I hope it helped you.
Happy cruising.
Happy cruising.